Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com. We're glad that you all could be with us. Also, joining us for online affiliates around the world, including our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcasts. We're glad you all could be with us, too. Recording artist Stephen Voyce is making his first appearance on our program today to talk to us about the year that's been 2021 and how it's kind of culminating in a brand new single that's out today called Not Your Type. We'll talk to Stephen about the message of the song, what it's been like for him to be an individual as an artist, and then, of course, let you guys know how to stay connected with him and all the great things coming his way into the new year. Stephen, glad to have you on with us, man. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm feeling very blessed right now.
Hey, the pleasure's definitely all mine. Well, first of all, congratulations on the brand new single, Not Your Type. I want to talk, though, about this journey for you that kind of led you here. What has it been like for you, Stephen, to do what you love when it comes to music and then to be able to share that with all of us?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, my music journey, I think it's the cliche answer is that it started, when I was a kid. I live in a household that listened to Michael Jackson. My mom was a massive fan. But to be honest, it's only when my mom passed away a few years ago that I turned to my dream, my passion to create and use it as an outlet to kind of release a lot of pain. And that's where my professional journey began as an artist. That's where I started taking the music seriously and putting it out there for the world to hear.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the comfort level of that because I'm always fascinated, Stephen. I have gifts, but singing and dancing are not two of the gifts that I that I have. So I'm always curious about the process because even in my industry, of course, my being from Mississippi, the two people would always compare me to are the two people from Mississippi that they knew, Tavis Smiley and Oprah Winfrey, right? So they're like, you're going to be the next Tavis Smiley. You're going to be the next Oprah. You're the male Oprah. That was a thing going around for a while. But for me, it was all just about being myself. I bring that to this conversation because I'm curious, how did you decide in having different musical interests and then still being able to be yourself as an artist?
Wow. I think for me, it always just kind of boils down to being my true, authentic self. It never really felt like something I had to choose. It kind of felt like this is just something that I am. And the worst thing I felt would be to be anything other than that. To not pursue who I am would have been such a shame I felt, and to be honest, that's where all my pursuits, my love for creativity and music or acting or whatever other things I do come from. They just come from my need to express myself and be fully 100% of who I am. And like I said, I just feel like music was born into me. It's just something that I knew I needed to do. It's to the point where if I don't do this, I feel like I'm doing myself harm. To not do what's inside me that needs to come out. If I don't do that, that's the harm. So doing what I do is just kind of like breathing, to be honest.
Wow. So I guess that then begs this question then, Stephen. What do you think helped you get there? Because I think even hearing you say that, I think the truth of the matter is, unfortunately, that does not come easy because we live in a world that tries to make us be someone else. What do you think helped you growing up to just be okay with being yourself?
You know what? When I was younger, I actually had a hard time being myself. I knew I needed to be, but I had a hard time, and it's when my mom passed away that I realized that life is too short to be anything other than yourself. And I think for a lot of artists, unfortunately, their kind of moment of aha or their eureka moment comes from pain or from loss. Yeah. Right. And for me, it was the same thing. When my mom passed, I fell so hard into myself, but it also made me realize that I can't. The only thing that we lose in life is time, and if you let time slip, then you're letting time slip. And so it's when that happened, and it took me a while to realize, what, life's too short to not do what makes me happy. As long as I'm not hurting anyone else, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, then live your life, and I hope that people understand that. I know it's not easy, but I think it's possible to get that understanding without having to go through tragedy. Unfortunately, I had to go through tragedy to go through that, but I think as we move on through life, we start to realize the importance of just not caring so much about what everyone has to say.
Right. And I think that, and I appreciate you sharing that. I think that is something that's going to be great for others. So I want to ask you then on the other side of it then, because you've been speaking as your journey as an artist, and Stephen, what has it been like for you to hear from listeners about how your music connected with them and how they felt something in something that you said? What has that been like for you to hear how your music has touched others?
I think, to be honest, and it was I remember the first time that happened. It's what really solidified in my head that this is something I need to do. Because, like I said, when my mom passed, I was using my music as a way to kind of just release my pain. And I remember someone reached out to me saying that they were in a really dark place, and then they heard my song, and it made them realize that they weren't alone, and that really helped them. And that moment made me realize that not only am I doing what I love, but in doing what you love and putting yourself out there, you're connecting with others, people that you might not even necessarily meet, but you're connecting with them and you're making a difference. And it made me realize that it's not just about, I love to sing or I love to write songs. It's about, I'm doing something that can be of service to others, not only for myself, but for others as well. And I think when that happened, it became it still became about me doing what I want to do, but also became a thing about me doing something that I know has an impact, and I can make a change in this world just by expressing myself.
Yeah. Wow. And I think that is a cool thing. I think that all of us can be able to learn something from. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, he's on the radio side or online. You're listening to Conversations Live. Recording artist Stephen Voyce is our guest for this segment. Stephen is celebrating his brand new single, Not Your Type, for our radio audience here in Mississippi, as well as those joining us through Amazon Music. It is available now through your favorite online retailer as well. So, Stephen, talk to us then about messaging, because I got the email blast, which is I should share with our audience how this conversation came about. I got the email blast, and I was like, there's a new single coming out. And so I went and listened to the single, and I thought, wow, what a powerful message. And I think it is.
Thank you.
It's a powerful message, but I think it's sad in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it's a commentary on where we are in society. So I'm curious, though, before I give my take as a listener, what is it that kind of sparked Not Your Type?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's because a lot of my songs, they either come from a lyric that pops into my head, or a feeling or emotion or something, or a melody. This is one of those songs that came from a feeling, and I couldn't even tell you what the feeling was when I was making it. I just knew that something took over me and said, you need to go start working on whatever this is going to turn into right now. And I remember, playing the keys and putting together the drums, the melodies, and I started, coming up with lyrics. And I didn't even know what the song was necessarily about as I was writing it, until I got further enough into the song that I realized, like, hey, I'm saying something here. I'm saying I want the people that are afraid to tell me or others that, hey, you know what, I really like what he does, out of fear of losing a power that they feel they may have over me. Because a lot of people would be terrified. They wouldn't want to tell you that they respect you, because they feel that in doing so that they're kind of relinquishing some sort of power that they have over you and over themselves. And that's what the song is about. It's about saying, hey, I know that you like what I do. I know that you see who I am as a person, and that you actually respect that person. And it's a shame that you're afraid to be honest about that. And that's what Not Your Type is about. It's about saying, it's about confronting those people in my way, which is through music, but letting them know I see you and I hear you, and I just hope that you could be honest with yourself.
Yeah, and Stephen, to a greater point, I think the reason why I thought the song was sad, it's a great song, and our audience will definitely love the song, and I'll be writing my review for it as well. But the reason why I said that is because I think there's such a broader message there, because I think we hear that hate in a lot of different areas, right, where people feel like if you're acknowledging someone in some way that diminishes you, we have that element. that idea of this person can't be talented because they do this and I do that, and that's not really something that, I mean, it shows up in a lot of different ways, in our world. And I think even in just in society, I think, right? I mean, I think, you have people who, it's almost like in the cafeteria, you can't sit with that group because then you're saying that they're okay, and we don't think they're okay, It's such a great thing. Did you realize at the time that it was even bigger than just what an artist may be going through?
Whenever I write, I always write from a very personal space, but I do know that when I'm writing, that it's that my interpretation has a much more universal way of being interpreted, and it can be applied to more than just me. And I think that's the beauty of expression, is that self-expression evolves and it grows. I could paint something, and for me, that painting could be about one thing, and then someone else will see that painting, and it'll uncover something even deeper. And it'll be an awakening for me too, because I'll say, "Wow, I didn't even see that in my painting," and then it just takes on a life of its own. And that's what I love about art, is that art has this power of transforming and going far beyond even the creator.
Yeah, such a great point, and that's why I want people to really go and listen to the single "Not Your Type." Now, collaboration is something that is not new to you as an artist. Talk to us about the collaboration on this single and how it came about.
Yes, so. Like I said, I had this feeling, and I started working on the song, and I recorded my verses, and I was writing my verses as I was recording, and then I got to the bridge of the song, and I just knew that I didn't want to add anything else that came from me, but I instantly knew who I wanted to get on it, and her name is Jess Abram. She's a fellow artist from Montreal. She's actually my best friend as well. We've been creating music together for the last decade at this point, and I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, I have this song. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. I'm just going to send it to you. I want you to do whatever feels right to you and send it back to me." And she said yes. Within, I'd say like an hour, not even, the song was back and it was ready to go, and I put it together.
Wow.
And I reached out to my his name is Martin D. He's a fellow producer in Montreal, and I always, whenever I produce a song and I'm ready to release it, I pass it on to him to add his own layer of production onto it, because I always feel that you get to a certain point where like you start to have tunnel vision of your own music, and the only way for it to grow is to pass it on to someone else to have them add to it. So I did that, and then he just added his magic. He reached out to a guitarist in Montreal called Jacques Tellier, and he added the guitar pieces, and I was just like, yes. And that's what I love. That's what I love about collaborating, because it starts off in one. Something starts off from a source, and then before you know it, it just grows and evolves. And if you're receptive to other people's creativity, then you're opening your universe, so to speak, to their universes, and something much bigger and grander comes out of it.
Yeah, such a great point there, Stephen. So I want to ask you then about, as we kind of look at the past 2 years, right? I was saying in another segment recently that 2020 seemed to crawl, but for me, 2021 seemed to fly by. It seemed like it went so quickly. For you, how did you creatively deal with what we've been dealing with? I know in Montreal, you guys have had stricter restrictions sometimes than a lot of other places. So, I mean, what has it been like for you to deal with that creatively?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was really tough when the pandemic first hit, and I'll tell you this. In 2020, I was supposed to travel to go film some movies. I was going to go to, I think it was to Tokyo to go write a song and be in a music video. And I had all these things lined up that just all got shut down because of the pandemic. And then suddenly I went from being constantly on the move as an artist to now being stuck. And I had a moment where I didn't know who I was in this new world. Like, I didn't know who is Stephen in a world where a lot of the things that I love to do are no longer feasible, at least for this time being. Where do I stand? And I got to a point where I was so low, and I felt lost. Luckily, I had already recorded a lot of songs that were ready and good to go. So I decided that rather than just sit back and wait, I would start releasing these songs as singles in 2020. I started releasing at least one single a month, starting with the songs that were already done. And that kind of started a momentum where I was putting out songs and people were receptive to them. And then I started to record more because I have my own home studio and releasing more and more music. And so I think music in a way saved me in 2020 and in 2021, and being in a digital world where at least I can put out content and it can still reach the world, even if I can't do shows and travel and do tours and all that stuff, at least I can put out the music. And so that has been a savior in many ways. And so, yeah, that's where I've been. I've just been focusing a lot on music, and it's been giving me hope for a day where the world opens up again and we can actually go back to doing the things that we love and without fear. But while this is where we're at least I have my music, and I've become that much more grateful for the gift and that much more grateful to the fans and the listeners and to you for giving me this platform to talk about my music in a world where I may not be able to travel to you, but at least we can do this, and that's something.
Yeah. I think, for a lot of people, a lot of artists, you guys are chomping at the bit to get back in front of an audience, and there are a lot of listeners who are excited about being able to see, their favorite artist again. So that leads us then to where we're headed. 2022 is literally right around the corner. Stephen, what are you looking forward to? Is that kind of it, just being able to expand on what you're already doing?
Yeah, continue to expand, and I'm always open for new ideas and new opportunities. For example, in 2020 and then continuing in 2021, I started, my branding, my merch, and releasing merch and things of that nature. So I've been expanding beyond just the music side. I've been going into other domains, other ways to grow my business. And so it's been opening my mind as an entrepreneur, really giving me wings as an entrepreneur to find ways to still be prolific in this time and era. And it kind of, honestly, it reminds me of when I first started, making music, and I didn't really have the money or the equipment to do the things I wanted. So I had to figure things out with what I had. It's kind of where we are now. We're at this position where we have all these things where things are closed down. So we have to figure out new ways to reach audiences. So in some ways, it's creating an open mindset to learn new things. And in that way, it's exciting. But I'm excited to take all this new knowledge I've learned over this pandemic and move it into a world that is more open.
Gotcha. Well, it gives us something to look forward to. Again, everyone, Stephen Voyce has been our guest, and his single is Not Your Type. It's available now through your favorite online retailer. Of course, our partner here is Amazon.com, but you can get it through your favorite online retailer. And, Stephen, how can our audience stay connected with you, man?
Absolutely. I'm on iTunes, Apple Music, all that fun stuff, but I'm very active on Instagram. So if you want to find out what's happening with every aspect of my life, just follow me on Instagram. It's Stephen Voyce, at Stephen Voyce on Instagram, StephenVoyce on Instagram, and that's it.
All right, Stephen. Congratulations to you again on the single and your success, and looking forward to our next conversation together, man.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
More than welcome, and we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.